So you said that it is very easy for you to scare your mom on the way back from the airport just by switching off ESP and it'll light up its wheels and go sideways. What if you don't do that and you're trying to impress your mom with the Ioniq? How is that car in that mode?
Very clever. So what they have done, whether you're in the normal mode or the sport mode, if you put your foot down hard from a standstill, it doesn't dump the torque. So they have been mindful of that because lots of EVs, like they can be very sharp, like really strong performance, right? Instant. But they have kept that calibration for the initial acceleration really smooth.
Okay.
Which is why if you're rolling and then you go hard on the accelerator, then you can feel all the torque come in.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a very nice gradual acceleration.
But not slow.
Not slow. Definitely not slow. But it's not like what it does when you're mid-corner and you go hard and you suddenly find the rear wheels lighting up like that. It doesn't do that when you're going off the line.
Right.
It's very nicely calibrated so that you can be smooth, clean. There's no head nod and none of that jhatka business happening when you're driving. So that's been taken care of in that.
So in that sense, the idea of a reasonably fast family SUV sorted.
Yes, and all the more so because, like I was saying, the sense of space on the inside. It's got huge windows. It's wide, and the amount of room on offer. Wow, it's genuinely impressive.
Okay, what kind of gearbox does this thing run?
If I'm not wrong, it's just a single-speed gearbox, normal reduction.
So neutral drive and reverse.
Oh, that way, yeah. It's just got it's got these nice chunky lever which you just have to twist to choose whatever mode you want to get into, which is
It's stock mounted, you were saying. Is it mounted on the
It's a stock mounted behind the steering wheel, but you don't push the stock around. It's got this little knob at the end which you twist. So yeah, but it's really chunky, and that's what you remember about it. On the steering wheel itself are the paddles because you can control the regen.
That Hyundai thing I just don't understand.
Yeah.
It was there on the Kona that we drove in Turkey also. Yeah. One of the most useless things I've ever done outside the country was that Kona drive because it seemed like it was more tourism than the Kona. And then the filming location was terrible. The guy who was filming said, I don't have a mic. It was a mess. But what I remember was messier was this paddle controlled regen thing because it was very difficult and non-intuitive to use.
Oh, really?
If in the menu, you could select from, say, 5 levels of regen. And okay, as a journalist driving the car for a short period, it would be troublesome to me. But as an owner, I would try a couple of modes before I figured out where I'd like to set it. And then I set it and I forget it. I don't want to mess with this any further. You know, I don't want to have to use the brake pedal, the minus pedal, and then press this to increase my regen. It's unnecessary work in a vehicle that's supposed to make your life simpler because everything is easier to do than it used to be in the ICE era, right? I mean, the reason why we don't have the gearboxes in the EVs is primarily because they make torque so controllably and so much for all of their rev range that you don't need a gearbox anymore. It's a flaw of the ICE system that is just eliminated with an electric motor, right? Fundamentally, why are you complicating the control structure for a 1% benefit?
Yeah, I'm that 1%. I enjoy it.
What did you do with it?
Because see, it just lets you, depending on traffic conditions, right? Now, let's say if I was in really thick traffic and I'm still driving fast, then I turn up the regen. So I'm getting, as soon as I lift off the accelerator, I'm getting braking, right? So my need to intervene is reduced. But like you said, not everybody is going to want to use it. I think it's another way of getting a sense of involvement for people if they're looking for it. Most people, like you said, will just tap the paddle. So like if you want more regen, you just tap up. I think it's got 4 levels or 5 levels, something like that. So you can choose how much engine braking you want to get the retardation, to slow down whenever you're going off the accelerator. So if you're driving easy, you just go on the other paddle and reduce the amount of regen. So you coast more. So is that?
Sounds ugly. I'll tell you this. I was in Canada at the Michelin Bibendum Challenge. And they had a Tesla which you could take for a test drive. It was a Model X, I think, but I'm not sure. It was in single pedal driving mode. And we went around the block, 400 meters.
Yeah.
200 meters in, I knew exactly where to lift off the throttle, what the engine brake would do so that I could come to a stop at the traffic light without ever touching the brake pedal.
Right.
And I think the simplicity of the control system, and I didn't even set up the system. It was whatever was in the car at that point of time because this was a test drive car. It was the simplicity of the system that allowed me to learn it that quickly and then never think about it again. I don't think that I understand the benefit of this kind of regen format, but I'm willing to bet that 10 years from now, systems that make Regen this complicated will no longer be the norm. It's like the PowerPoint. I call it the PowerPoint syndrome, where if I get 35 tools, then I must try and use all of them. This is one of those things.
I think you're right. If I look into the future, I don't expect it to exist. But I think somewhere car makers are also trying to give a sense of familiarity, which is why a lot of people resist the one pedal. Because we were talking about when we drove the XC40 Recharge, right? That has the one pedal drive. And it's fantastic, right? You can come to a halt. You know how that braking is going to happen, that Regen is going to work.
Exactly.
So that you slow down just as much, and it feels fantastic when you start using that.
You're just happy because you're Marwadi and you know the brake pads aren't wearing out.
ये मैंने सोचा नहीं था. Good point. Electricity भी बना रहा हूँ. Which car to buy, which bike to buy, which one to not buy. You're always stuck in these decisions, aren't you? Well, I'm sure you are. One thing that we can help you with right now is with one piece of advice. Head to the main MotorInc channel, catch up on this entire conversation, and I'm pretty sure those other confusions will get cleared up.